The formula is the cycle length minus 14. Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Priscilla Akila, and this is a safe space for honest conversations about female reproductive health. Thank you to all our subscribers. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting. Thank you for learning. If this is your first time of being here, we're glad to have you, and thank you because you're going to learn a lot. In the previous episode, I taught on how to calculate safe days versus fertile window using the 28-day cycle, and I promised to teach you how to calculate for each cycle length from 21 to 35 days. So today, that is what we're going to do. So we're going to dig right into that, okay? And grab your pens, your papers, because this class is going to be very informative, so we can understand how to calculate our safe days, fertile window, especially in case you're trying to get pregnant or if you're trying to avoid pregnancy. So if this resonates with you, let's get right into it. So today, we'll be looking at how to calculate the fertile window for different cycle lengths from 21 to 35 days. So we'll do for each of these days. Okay, so it's going to be a very big class. Okay, so we're going to use the month of March 2026. It started on Sunday 1st and ended on Tuesday 31st of March. So this is the calendar that we'll be using. Okay, just a recap from the previous class. We said that a regular menstrual cycle is that which occurs between 21 and 35 days. Okay, it doesn't go less than 21 days or more than 35 days. It comes always, every cycle comes within 21 to 35 days. That's what a regular menstrual cycle is like. If it's less than 21 days, it comes too often. If it is more than 35 days, it comes too late. All right, so that is something I want you to remember. And we said that it's easier to calculate the fertile window when the menstrual cycle is regular. Okay, but we know that everybody has their own kind of cycle. Some have shorter cycle, some have shorter cycles, some have longer cycles. So we're doing for each of these, assuming that your cycles come around 21 days, 21 days, 22 days, 22 days, 23, 24, like that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do right now. And I want you to also understand that the first day of your menstrual cycle is the day that you start seeing your menstrual blood. Okay, and one menstrual cycle is from the beginning of one cycle to the last day before another cycle. So for a 21-day cycle, which we're going to start with, we're going to start with the 21-day cycle. 21-day cycle. So we're going to use our favorite index person, Janet. Okay, so Janet saw her period in the month of March. Okay, we want to calculate for Janet what her fertile window is likely to be for the month of March, assuming she has a 21-day cycle, a regular 21-day cycle. Okay, so just for you to see clearly, let's assume that the first day of the menstrual cycle of Janet for this particular month of March is the 4th. Let me do it in red so that you know this is the first day she bled. Okay, and let's assume that Janet bleeds for 4 days. Okay, so this is the day 1 of the cycle, this is day 2 of the cycle, day 3 of the cycle, day 4 of the cycle. So she bleeds for 4 days in this menstrual cycle, and we said she has a 21-day cycle. So let's calculate to see when does this cycle end. Okay, because this bleeding is just the menstrual phase of this cycle. So this is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So the 24th of March 2026 is the 21st day of Janet's menstrual cycle. Let's use a black pen. That's the 21st day. So this is the last day of her menstrual cycle before another cycle. So we are believing or predicting that her next cycle will be starting on the 25th, which is the first day of the next cycle. But that's not our concern for now. We're dealing with this particular cycle of the month of March. Okay, so now we have now calculated to know the cycle length for Janet, 21 days, and we know that she bleeds for what? 24 days. So that is it. So now let's proceed to calculate and know when is Sister Janet likely to ovulate. Now, let me remind us again how to calculate the likely date of ovulation. Research has it that a woman is likely to ovulate 14 days before the beginning of the next menstrual cycle. So that means that Janet is likely to ovulate 14 days before the beginning of the next menstrual cycle, which is 25th of March. Okay, we've estimated that this is likely to be her first day of her next cycle. So 14 days before this day, she's likely to ovulate. And we have a formula. The formula is the cycle length minus 14. So Janet has a cycle length of 21 days. So to get her likely ovulation date is simply 21 minus 14. And then we'll get the length. Or you could simply count backwards. But in counting backwards, you have to be very careful, because we said 14 days before that cycle. So let's count. I'm taking my time to explain on this one so that the other ones can be easier for us, okay? Now, this is 25th. That's the beginning of the next cycle, right? So 14 days before this day, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now, we are tempted to take the 11th as our 14 days, but it's not this 11th that is going to be our 14 days before the next menstrual cycle. That is because you're supposed to have 14 complete days, 14 complete days in between the likely ovulation date and the beginning of the next menstrual cycle. So if you take it that way, you know that your answer for the likely ovulation date is the 10th of March. I hope I'm not confusing you. Let me take that again. Now, let me just put it that this 10th is our likely what? Ovulation date. Let me put OV here and explain once again. Now, you should have what? Complete 14 days between the likely ovulation date and the beginning of the next menstrual cycle. Let's count and see how many days we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So we have 14 complete days before this 25th, which is the beginning of the next menstrual cycle. Do we understand? So that is just for you to understand. But in order to avoid confusion, just take it that it is what? Your cycle length, whether it's 21, 22, or whatever, minus 14. Now, let's do it so that we can be sure that we got the right thing, okay? So, the cycle length is what? 21 minus 14 will give us what? Okay? So, that will be the number of the day she's likely to ovulate. So, now, 21 minus 14, let's count and see what does it give us. That particular answer is what you will calculate to get your likely ovulation date. 21 minus 14 is what? 7. So now it means that for the cycle of 21 days that Janet has, she's likely to ovulate on the 7th day of her menstrual cycle. On the 7th day of her menstrual cycle. I didn't say on the 14th day, no. What I said is 14 days before the beginning of another cycle, okay? But after calculating, we said 21 minus 14, we got 7. So this is actually when she's likely to ovulate and not on the 14th day of her cycle, because that's one misconception that women usually have, okay? So 14 days before the beginning of her next menstrual cycle is the 7th day of her menstrual cycle. So let's calculate. We know that this is day 1, day 2, day 3. So let's see, what is the 7th day of her cycle? This is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and day 7. Can you now see that this day that we have already labeled OV for ovulation to happen is actually the 7th day of her menstrual cycle? Yes, because we calculated 14 complete days before the beginning of her next cycle. We said that's when she's likely to ovulate. And when we calculated 21, which is the cycle length, minus 14, it gave us 7. So let me just rewrite this formula down here so that we can easily always go back to it. So ovulation day, let me just say predicted or likely ovulation day is equal to cycle length minus 14. So whatever your cycle length is, remove 14, and whatever you get, that is the day you're likely to ovulate. Now, on this day you're likely to ovulate, remember that we said for a woman who is trying to get pregnant, you should remember that it's not just this 10th day that, okay, it is compulsory. Ovulation must happen on this 10th day, on this 7th day of the cycle, that's 10th of March. Okay, it's not compulsory that ovulation must happen on this particular day. We know that due to stress, illness, nutrition, and so many things, ovulation can also be affected, just like the normal menstrual cycle as it comes every month. Okay, it can be delayed by a few days, right? But whichever day you're ovulating, remember that when the egg breaks today, it takes about 12 to 24 hours for the body to clear the egg, and then it is no more. Okay, so if a woman has unprotected sexual intercourse about 3 to 5 days before her ovulation, that sperm is likely to wait patiently for her to ovulate for that as long as 5 days, based on research. So it means that if she has unprotected sexual intercourse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days backwards, any of these days of her cycle, the sperm is possible, it's possible for this sperm to wait for her to ovulate. So that means it has extended her likelihood of pregnancy by 5 more days. So 5 days before the ovulation day, and the next day after ovulating. Do you understand? Ovulation is likely to happen these days. So her fertile window now encompasses these 5 days before the ovulation and a day after ovulation. Do we get? So her fertile window is now what? From the 5th of March, that's from the second day of her cycle, to the 8th day of her cycle, which is the 11th of March 2026. So now let's count and see how many days do we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So her fertile window here is what? 7 days. That is the fertile window for Janet in March, because she has a regular 21-day cycle. But as I said, ovulation can adjust. It's not a hard and fast thing. It can happen 2 days before, it can happen 2 days even later. So imagine that the ovulation did not now happen on the 7th day. It decided that it will happen on the 6th day. Okay? Imagine that it happens on the 5th day of her cycle. That means that if you still count backward by 5 days now, you shift by 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 3rd of January has now joined inside. Now, I know some people will be wondering, does that mean that a woman is likely to get pregnant even during her period? That is another topic for another day. But the answer is yes. As long as a sperm enters her body and it waits for that egg to be released and they come in contact, you may have your period, finish, but you discover that you got pregnant, you cannot explain it. But it's because people who have shorter menstrual cycle lengths are likely to ovulate early. As we saw, she just started menstruation on the 4th, and before you know, on the 10th, she's ovulating. So ovulation happens earlier for them because this 14 days before the next menstrual cycle is more or less more constant than the first few days of the menstrual cycle. Let me reserve that for another day. Okay, so if you want to know more about that, just tell me in the comment section. But this is how to know the fertile window for Janet for 21 days menstrual cycle length. All right, so the reason why I had to tell you about the adjustments that it can come 2 days later or 2 days earlier is so that you will know that the fertile window is not just this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days alone. It can adjust, it can shift backwards depending on when the ovulation decides to happen or even come forward. Assuming she decides, okay, the body decides that this egg we're not going to release them on this 7th day. It's delayed, so maybe the 11th day or the 12th day. Now you know that because she ovulated on the 12th day now, if she has unprotected sexual intercourse 5 days before this 12th, now let's count 5 days before this 12th and see what we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now her likelihood of getting pregnant is higher when she starts having unprotected sexual intercourse around this 7th of March. That's the 4th day of her cycle. 8th of March, 9th, like this, 10th, 11th. Okay, then she now ovulates on the 12th. So 13th too is part of her fertile window, because we said even up to a day after ovulation, she's likely to get pregnant. Do you understand the whole idea? But the fertile window, like whatever happens, we know that it's at least 5 days before and then 1 day after ovulation. So that is like 7 days. Okay, so let's just count it for her. Let's see. We said, let's go back to our ideally, supposed day of ovulation. That's the 7th day of her cycle, as we calculated, right? 7th day of her cycle. We said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If she has unprotected sexual intercourse, blah 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 blah. So 1, 2, 3. I hope I'm not confusing you. 4. Okay. Then 5, and then 6, and then 7. So that is her fertile window. But always remember that ovulation can happen earlier or later. So just know that whenever the ovulation will happen, give 5 days allowance at the back, 1 day in front. Are we good? So that is it for 21-day cycle. So I don't think I'm going to take much time like that for the remaining cycle length, but yeah, that will be it for this. So let's go to 22-day cycle. The second cycle length we're going to do now is 22 days. So if you've been following me, pick your pen and paper and let's calculate this one together. So the name of our dear woman is Auntie Rebecca. Okay, so Rebecca, in the month of March, let's assume that the first day of her cycle is still what? Okay, no, let's take it back to 3rd of March. Okay, let's say that this is the first day, day 1 of her menstrual cycle. That means it's the first day she bleeds. Let me use red for bleeding. Okay, so she starts bleeding on the 3rd of March and she has a 22-day cycle. So let's count to see how many days, when 22 we end here. So we have 1. She also bleeds for 4 days. So 2, 3, 4. Okay, so she finishes her bleeding on this day. Then let's continue counting. 21 and 22. So what we are now saying is that her cycle ends on the 24th of March 2026. That's the last day of her cycle, which is the 22nd day. So the first day is going to be 25th of March. Do you understand? Of the next cycle. Okay, since she has a 22-day cycle, remember that we shifted by 1. So even though we're having 22-day cycle, the first day of the next cycle is also going to fall on the 25th, like that other one. So don't get confused. Okay, so now we calculated her cycle length. We already have this. And now we said that likely ovulation day is equal to cycle length minus 14 days. So let's calculate and see. 22 minus 14, what do we have? Bang, bang, bang. Who will give us the answer? Sharp, sharp. Likely ovulation day equal to cycle length 22 minus 14. So the answer is what? 8. So because her cycle is longer than the previous one, have you seen that the answer has shifted by 1? Yes. So because of that, we now know that the 8th day of this cycle is what? The 10th of March 2026. So this is her likely ovulation day, because we said it's the 8th day of this cycle. Do we get it? So let's calculate still and see. Let's count since we are trying to prove a point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On the 8th day of her cycle, that is when she's likely to ovulate. Now, what is her fertile window? We know that it is 5 days before she ovulates and 1 day after she ovulates. And we know why already. Why? You already know. I've been saying it, okay? So, if she has unprotected sexual intercourse 5 days before this day, she's likely to get pregnant. So, we have 1, counting backward, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. She's likely to get pregnant when she has unprotected sex within these days. Okay, so her fertile window has to do with everything from here. Apart from this one, this one is on its own. No, I beg. Okay, let me leave here open, then capture Abby. Let me do it like this. Okay, so everything from like this to here is added. Okay, let me just open it like this. So 1 day after she has ovulated, because we said that the egg can survive for about 24 hours. So this is the fertile window for Auntie Rebecca in the month of March, having a 22-day menstrual cycle. Also remember, if the ovulation comes earlier or later, all these dates can change. So because of that, those safe days that you think are safe, especially if they are very close to these dates, may not necessarily be safe in quotes. Okay, so let's go ahead now to calculate for 23-day cycle. For beauty, let's calculate and see when her likely ovulation date is, given that she has a cycle length of 23 days. So let's assume that she starts bleeding on when?
Second.
Yeah, correct. Let's assume she starts bleeding on the 2nd of March. That's the first day of her cycle. Okay, so let's count 23 days. Let's assume that she also bleeds for how many days?
4 days.
Yeah, 4 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4. She bleeds for 4 days, and then we continue counting. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Are we good? So she bleeds for 4 days. She has a cycle length of 23 days. So her cycle length ends on this particular day. The beginning of the next cycle starts on this particular day. So let's calculate and see. Since we said likely ovulation day is cycle length minus 14, so that's what? 23 minus 14, and that will give us 9. Can we see that we are going higher? Because it is 9, she's likely to ovulate on the 9th day of her cycle. So let's count and see, when is the 9th day of her cycle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, this is the day 9 of her cycle. So she's likely to ovulate on this particular day of her menstrual cycle. So what is her fertile window? Her fertile window will be 5 days before the day she's likely to ovulate and 1 day after. So let's calculate to see what's that window. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting backwards. So we now know that everything here, okay, including here, including the ovulation day and 1 day after ovulation, a fertile window. And how many days are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Also remembering that this ovulation day can come earlier or later by at least 2 days before or 2 days after. So if it comes on this day or this day, if the ovulation happens on these days, you know that you can adjust it by counting backwards by 5 days again and giving 1 day allowance after the ovulation is likely to happen. So these dates are likely to adjust on their own. Now, that is for a 23-day menstrual cycle. Let's go straight ahead to calculate for a 24-day menstrual cycle, okay? Well done, guys. I know that you've been trying to calculate on your own in your books too, and thank you for following till this point. So to calculate for a 24-day menstrual cycle, the likely ovulation date, we are going to use Emerald. So Emerald has a regular 24-day menstrual cycle, and we assume that she starts bleeding on when?
Second.
Let's still take the 2nd of March. Going to be our first day of this Emerald's menstrual cycle, okay? Let's maintain the 2nd. All right. So let's say this is the first day of her menstrual cycle. The first day she starts to bleed, and she also bleeds for 4 days. So she finishes bleeding on the 4th day here. Then let's continue counting to see when the 24th day is. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So for this 24-day cycle, this is the last day of her menstrual cycle. So now to get the date, sorry, I didn't take this out. We have 24 days. So we say that the likely ovulation day for emerald with a 24-day cycle is the cycle length, which is 24, minus 14, which is equal to 10. So she's likely to ovulate on the 10th day of her cycle. Can we see that with each ascent, we're also ascending here? Okay? So on the 10th day, and this is the 10th day of her cycle, let's just count again. First day is the day that she starts bleeding. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the likely ovulation day for emerald in the month of March because she has a regular 24-day cycle. So we know that this ovulation can shift by 2 days or even later. But assuming it happens on this particular day, let's count. If she has unprotected sexual intercourse 5 days before this day, she's likely to get pregnant. So that is also what part of her fertile window. Clock it. So let's count and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from this 6th here, her fertile window starts till what? This is the ovulation day, Abi. Hey, how I take to run this one now? Okay, let me bring back my blue pen down. Okay, so this is what her fertile window, which is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Okay, that is for a 24-day menstrual cycle. Always remember, this ovulation can happen earlier or later, and because of that, it will adjust, either coming earlier or later. That's the fertile window can encompass dates that are later or even earlier. So this is for a 24-day regular menstrual cycle. Now let's go for a 25-day regular menstrual cycle. To calculate for a 25-day regular menstrual cycle, Ruby has a 25-day cycle and we want to know when she's likely to ovulate. Okay? Now, let's take her first. Sorry, there was a recording problem. So I've been able to calculate the cycle length for her. We said it's 25 days. So the first day she started bleeding was the first. So 1, 2, 3, 4 till 25 day cycle. This is the 25th day of her cycle. And we say that she bled for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Okay. Now her likely ovulation date is the cycle length, which is 25 minus 14, and we got 11. So we said that she's likely to ovulate on the 11th day of her cycle, and that 11th day of her cycle is the 12th. So 12th of March, this is it here, this is the 11th day. So her fertile window now, we said, is 5 days before this likely ovulation date and 1 day after. So when we now counted 5 days backward, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 day after is 13. So we counted and found out that we had 7 days for her fertile window. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So for her, that is her fertile window because she has a 25-day regular menstrual cycle. So let's go ahead to calculate for a 26-day regular menstrual cycle. Now to calculate the ovulation day or likely ovulation day for Jummai in the month of March, given that she has a 26-day regular menstrual cycle, we also assume that she starts bleeding on the 2nd here, which is the first day of her cycle, 2nd, 3rd, 4th day. She bleeds for 4 days and then the cycle continues, right? So this is the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Okay, so she finishes her cycle. It ends on the 27th of March. That's 26 days. Check. Okay, so the next cycle is likely to start on the 28th of March. Okay, but this particular cycle we are dealing with starts from the 2nd and ends on the 27th. That is from day 1 to day 26 of her cycle. Now to calculate her likely ovulation date, we said it is what? The cycle length, which is what now? 26 minus 14. And that gives us 12. So she's likely to ovulate on the 12th day of her cycle. And what is the 12th day of her cycle? 12. This is what? The 12th day of her cycle. That's the day she's likely to ovulate. And we said that this fertile window is 5 days before the ovulation and 1 day after. So let's count and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means this thing is part of her fertile window coming like this to the date you ovulate, and then 1 day after. How many days do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. So that is Jumai's fertile window for this 26-day menstrual cycle. So now let's go ahead to calculate for 70 for 27 days. For a 27-day menstrual cycle, we're using Ladidi. Ladidi started bleeding on the 2nd. That's her day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. Let's keep counting till day 27. Let's see where her cycle will end. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Oh my God!
For Ladidi, she has 27-day menstrual cycle. She has a 27-day menstrual cycle. And we counted from day 1 where she started bleeding to 4 days where she stopped bleeding, and then till 27 days to get her cycle length. And we said that she's likely to ovulate 14 days before the beginning of the next cycle, right? And then we said the formula is the cycle length, which is 27 days minus 14. We now got 13. So we now said, let's find where is the 13th day of her cycle. We've already counted, and we have this is the 13th day, which is this 14th of March. So if she's likely to ovulate on the 13th day of her cycle, that means that the fertile window encompasses 5 days before she's likely to ovulate and 1 day after she has ovulated. So counting backwards, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and then 1 day after, which is this the 14th day of her cycle, right? So we now circled everything here. This signifies, or this shows, her fertile window. So Ladidi has a fertile window of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in the month of March for her 27-day cycle. Okay, so now let's go ahead to calculate the likely ovulation date for a 28-day menstrual cycle. Now, in order to save time and also avoid some distractions, I'm just still going to use this same calendar, assuming that they have their different menstrual cycle lengths, bleeding for these 4 days, and then we'll just adjust based on our formula here. Okay, so now let's go ahead, calculate for a 28-day menstrual cycle. So let's say Ladidi has a 28-day menstrual cycle. So her likely ovulation date will now be 28 minus 14, which is going to give us what? 14. So she's likely to ovulate on the 14th day of her cycle. Now, instead of this 13th day now, she's likely to ovulate on the 14th day of her cycle. Okay, so this is the 14th day of her cycle, and it is here. So now, counting backwards now to get her fertile window, we'll go backward by 5 days and add 1 day after this, because that is what forms her fertile window. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so her fertile window ends here, and then 1 day after, which is this. So this is 1 day after her ovulation. So that means this will now be out of it. Okay, this will be out of it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. So she has a what? Fertile window of 7 days for this 28-day cycle, assuming that she ovulates on the 14th day of her cycle. So it is because 28 days is the average menstrual cycle length. So whenever you say 14 or 28 minus 14, you get 14. So everybody assumes that they're likely to ovulate on the 14th day of their cycle. No, it is 14 days before the beginning of the other cycle. And this is the formula. As you've seen, we've been having different dates from 21-day cycle till now. Okay, so now I've done this one in the previous video. Let's move ahead to calculate for a 29-day cycle. So let's say this is 29. Okay, so it's going to be what? 29 minus 14. So the cycle is getting longer, and the answer here will be what? 15. So she's likely to ovulate on the 15th day of her cycle. And what is the 15th day of her cycle? The 15th day is this particular day. So that means now this is the date she's likely to ovulate. Okay, so her fertile window will now adjust. We'll now count to see 5 days backward. Let's see what we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So her fertile window starts from this 11th of March. That's the 10th day of her cycle. It starts here and it ends 1 day after she has ovulated. So her fertile window, everything here till here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days These are the days that form the fertile window for Ladidi because she has a 29-day menstrual cycle. Now let's go ahead to calculate for a 30-day menstrual cycle. So now for a 30-day cycle to calculate, we want to know, okay, Ladidi has a 30-day menstrual cycle, right? And then this is the first day of her cycle. She bleeds for 4 days, and then the 30th day of the cycle ends here on 31st. Okay, so now the likely ovulation day is going to be 30 days, which is the cycle length, 30 minus 14, which will give us what? 16. So now we have 16. So Ladidi is likely to ovulate on the 16th day of this particular cycle, and the 16th day is here. So she's likely to ovulate on this particular day, and we said this fertile window includes what? 5 days backward and 1 day after. So if we count backward, we're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So her fertile window starts from here, okay, and ends 1 day after. Let's count how many days we'll find. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So she has a fertile window of 7 days in a cycle of what? 30 days. Have we seen that our likely ovulation dates are increasing as our cycles get longer? Yes. Okay, so let's calculate for a 31-day cycle. Now, from a 31-day menstrual cycle, you discover that this calendar is not sufficient to take in all the days. That's because she started quite early within the month of March, started having her period within that month very early, right? But now this is the 30th day of her cycle, okay, and she has a cycle length of 31 this time around. So if it's 31 days, you need another day to meet what? This one, to make it a 31-day cycle. So that means it has crossed from March towards to April. Okay, so our calendar has extended to April. Okay, if she has a 31-day menstrual cycle, that means this is the 31st day of her cycle, and that's the last day of the cycle. So to calculate her likely ovulation date, it is what? The cycle length, which is 31 now, minus 14, and that gives us 17. This means that Ladidi is likely to ovulate on the 17th day of her cycle. And where is the 17th day of her cycle? This is it here. So her fertile window will be 5 days before this day and 1 day after it, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, this is 13th of March. Okay, so and then 1 day after, which is here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the days in her fertile window for that month because she has a 31-day menstrual cycle. Now let's go ahead to calculate for a 32-day menstrual cycle. If she has a cycle length of 32, so it means that here is going to be 32 minus 14, and this is now going to be 18. Okay, so in a 32-day menstrual cycle, Ladidi is likely to ovulate on the 18th day of her cycle. And what's the 18th day? Here it is. So her fertile window will be 5 days before this 18th day and then 1 day after, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it starts here and ends 1 day after. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days as her fertile window because she has a 32-day menstrual cycle. Okay, so what if she now has a 33-day menstrual cycle? What will be her likely ovulation day? So it's going to be 33 minus 14, which is going to give us 19. Oh my God, we're going very, very far from 7 days in 21-day cycle. Now we're in 19 for a 23-day cycle. So her day 19 of her cycle is here. So she's likely to ovulate on this day. But her fertile window now expands because of the likelihood of pregnancy when she has unprotected sexual intercourse around 3 to 5 days before her cycle, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 1 here. So her fertile window is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so what if she now has a cycle length of 34 days? Oh my God, we're almost getting there. Okay, of 34 days. Again, again. So it's going to be 34 minus 14, going to give us 20 days, guys. 20. So she's likely to ovulate on the 20th day of her cycle. And where's the 20th day? Here it is. So 5 days before the 20th day is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she's likely to ovulate. She's likely to get pregnant if she has unprotected sexual intercourse within this period. And then 1 day after ovulation, because the egg can last for that long, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 days form her fertile window, because she has a 34-day cycle in this month, and these are the 7 days. Okay, so what if she has a 35-day menstrual cycle? That is the last one, guys. We have come this far. Congratulations to us, guys. We've learned a lot. So if she has a cycle length of 35 days, she's likely to ovulate on 35 minus 14, which will give us 21 days. So on the 21st day of her cycle, that is when she's likely to ovulate. And where is that 21st day? Yeah, let me repair this one first. Okay, so this is the 21st day of her cycle. She's likely to ovulate here. So 5 days before this day is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here, let's cancel this one. Plus 1 day after, which is here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These days form her fertile window for this her 35-day cycle. Oh, so as you can see, depending on your cycle length, your likely ovulation day can vary, okay? And always give allowance for these things, because your body, due to hormones, stress, nutrition, your weight, and a lot of things, can adjust, making your ovulation come earlier or even later. So all of these fertile windows that we've been calculating can actually adjust and change depending on a lot of factors. So it is not compulsory that it is the exact values we've gotten here that would be the days for the ovulation or the fertile window, but this is the guide for you to be able to track your period and know when you're likely to get pregnant and when you're most unlikely to get pregnant. Okay, I hope that you've been able to learn a lot from this particular class, and I'm glad that I've been able to fulfill my promise. I'm so excited, and thank you for watching, thank you for learning, thank you for being intentional about your body. It was such a long and very interesting and informative class, and I believe that you've been able to learn a lot. Thank you so much for watching till this time. If you learned something, please comment in the comment section below. Comment, like, share with your loved ones, and see you in my next video. Hopefully, I'll be teaching you on some of the things that I touched on that I didn't really dive deep into in subsequent videos. If you have any questions, please do not forget to ask. Okay, until next time, take care, everybody, protect your health, and live with purpose. Bye.